I'm going to introduce Erin Page of Fastcase, who's going to do your training today. Erin, you're on.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to speak to you. As Ann mentioned, I am the Senior Law Librarian and Reference Attorney at Fastcase Legal Research. And today we're going to go over Fastcase. I love questions. They make me so happy. So please feel free to ask questions at any point during today's presentation, in the chat, in the Q&A, wherever I'll find it. So with that out of the way, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started.
And while she's doing that, those of you who haven't muted yourself, if you could, feel free to unmute yourself to ask questions, but during the presentation, it's always best to have yourself muted.
Safer
Thank
too.
you, everybody.
Definitely safer. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So Fastcase is one of your member benefits for being a member of the Contra Costa County Bar Association. And yes, I think I got all the C's in there. So the page that I'm on will hopefully look familiar. This is the Fastcase page on the Contra Costa website. So if you're just on the main Contra Costa page here, if you go up here in the top corner where it says login, the link that's just next to it is for Fastcase. And you could either log in and then go to the Fastcase page or go to the Fastcase page and then log in. It doesn't matter which order you do it in, but once you're logged into Fastcase, and you just use the little login thing there, this should look familiar. Once you're logged into Fastcase, it'll take you to this page. This is the Fastcase homepage, and from here, there's a ton of tools and other resources that are available to use in Fastcase to make your research process easier, faster, more efficient, all of those fun things. So just kind of giving you the background behind Fastcase really briefly here. We're kind of a tech company that survived the 90s, which means that it took a lot of work and a lot of effort, but the whole idea behind our company is that we wanted to make sure that the process of conducting legal research doesn't take as much work and doesn't take as much effort. So we come up with tools, with features, with functions to make the whole process easier, faster, better, all of those fun adjectives. As members of the Bar Association, you have access to Fastcase automatically, as we just mentioned. No separate username, no separate password, no separate sign up. All you have to do, sign into the bar, click on Fastcase, and you're in. Then, once you're here on the starting page, at the bottom of the page, I just want to point out, you'll see the Fastcase blog. We are constantly updating and adding features, content, new tips, new tricks, new events that are coming up in the future. So if it's been a while since you've used our system, or if you've never used our system, I really recommend coming down here and taking a quick peek at what's new and what's available, including today, where there's actually a really interesting article. I actually recommend this one, which I don't always, but a really interesting article on the law of casino gambling online. So lots of fun there. Right next to that, you'll see an icon for our sister product, Docket Alarm. Docket Alarm is designed to interface with state and federal dockets to pull the rest of the information about the case. So briefs, pleadings, motions, things like that. This is not included in your access through Contra Costa, but it is something that you can add on to your access. So if you're ever interested in getting that type of document, either reach out to us, we'd be happy to explain it in detail, or click on the link and you'll get some of that explanation there too. Now, I mention this because we have started integrating some portions of Docket Alarm for free into Fastcase. So I'll point that out as we go through the system so that you can see what you can take advantage of. Up here in the top right corner, these menus are available and visible in this top right corner no matter what page you're on in Fastcase. And we'll come to these as they make sense during the presentation. But the one I just wanted to point out, this one right here is your account button. From here, you can go and change and adjust stuff from your account management perspective. So if you have the wrong email or if you need to change your name or anything like that. Also on this page, you'll see back to Fastcase 6. This is our older platform. If you've used Fastcase before, you might be familiar with this one. It's still great. It's a lovely platform, but all of the new and cool stuff is in Fastcase 7. So while I personally recommend Fastcase 7, feel free to use 6 if you'd like. And of course, that's how you log out if you need to. All right, so with that fun thing out of the way, The other thing I wanted to point out here in the top right corner is this icon right here. This is the help and support icon, and from here, there's a ton of resources available to help you use Fastcase. First off, I'd like to point out the user guide, which is a step-by-step with pictures guide that shows the entirety of how to use Fastcase. So if you're terminally bored one night, or if you actually have an in-depth question, that's a great resource to consult. We also have tutorial videos. These are short 5-minute or less videos that focus on specific functions in Fastcase. So if you can't remember how to print, we've got a video for that. If you can't remember how to email a case directly from Fastcase, there's a video on that. So a lot of videos on specific functions and how to use the system. We also offer routine webinars. These are just to brush up your legal research skills, but we also offer webinars that are not for CLE credit, author webinars and event webinars and all that fun stuff. These are all free and you can sign up for them from the webinar schedule. I also want to point out the hotkey menu right here. Hotkeys are computer shortcuts that you can use to navigate the Fastcase system without having to use your mouse. So you can control tab to various functions and things like that. I point this out because these are compatible with screen readers. So if you or anyone you know needs that compatibility in order to function, we have complete compatibility with screen readers and we welcome anybody who needs that assistance. Finally, the last thing I want to point out from this menu really quick is the one that's at the top of the menu. It's labeled Boolean tips. We'll be talking about Boolean in just a moment, but if you ever are trying to phrase a search phrase, trying to figure out which connectors work in Fastcase, we have a full chart of all of the connectors, an example of how to use them in a search phrase, and an example of the type of results you'd be getting from using that search phrase. So again, another resource that you can use to figure out how to use the system generally. All right, so preliminary matters out of the way. Let's actually get to the focus of the page, which is the really big search bar in the center of the page. This is where you're going to enter your search terms. Fastcase supports all methods of searching. So if you have a citation, you can enter that and look up a specific document. If you have the party names, you can enter that. If you want to, you can phrase your search as a question or a statement. That's what's known as a natural language search, and we support that too. So you can enter, what is the penalty for arson? What are the requirements for a breach of contract case? Anything that you can phrase as either a question or a statement, you can enter into the search box and you'll get relevant results in Fastcase. Now, I will point out that while that method of searching is very easy to do, it'll also get you a certain number of tangential responses. They'll be relevant, but it's going to be a very broad search. I say this because there's no way in a natural language search to specify that you want specific things out of your search, that you want these terms to be within a certain distance of each other, or that you want these terms to appear but not that term, or that you want this exact phrase. So just bear in mind, if you're using a natural language search, it'll be a broader search. The last major search method, and the one that Fastcase also supports, is a Boolean or keyword search. When you're doing a Boolean or keyword search, you have specific terms in mind, and then you add connectors in between those terms to tell the search algorithms what exactly you have in mind for your search. So again, using your example from a moment ago, if I was interested in dog bite cases, I might tell the system that I want the word dog to appear within 5 words of the word bite. So you're probably familiar with this method of searching from using other systems or from law school or from back in the day. Perfectly fine. If you ever need a brush up course on those connectors, one of the webinars we offer is a straight up brush up course on how to do that and how to use it effectively. So little plug in for that webinar, maybe because I run it. Anyway, I do recommend taking that one. All right. So again, if you have any questions about doing a Boolean search, you can see that tip sheet here under the help and support materials. And that's a great way to see what's available and examples of how to use them. So let's say that you've entered the perfect search phrase. I am making no claims on this one. And you're ready to run your search. Well, if you run your search without doing anything else, your search is going to run, but it will run across the entire Fastcase database. As you can see right here where it says current sources, my current sources are defaulting to primary and secondary all. So that means it'll search California and also Maine and Idaho and Florida and Hawaii. And federal, it'll search the Supreme Court and all of the circuit courts. And it won't just search case law, it'll search statutes and regulations and court rules and constitutions and treatises and journal articles and everything in the Fastcase database. And that's fine, especially if you're trying to go for the 50 state effect, where you're just trying to see what everybody has to say on this issue. However, if you have a particular jurisdiction in mind, that's great too. To set your jurisdiction, over here on the right end of the search box, you'll see this button that's labeled Jurisdictions and Sources. If you click on that, you'll see the Search Scope Selector pop up here. And on the left-hand side of this page, it'll show all 50 states and the federal jurisdictions. On the right-hand side of the page, it'll show the different document types. Speaking of docket alarm, you'll see in this bottom right-hand corner, this content is available through that interaction and integration with the docket alarm system. You can search that docket alarm content for free, but if you select a document from there, it'll prompt you to upgrade and get that integration if you want it. So I just wanted to point out that that's available there. You can access the search results, but it'll ask you to upgrade when you get to the page itself. All right, for what you have access to through the Bar Association, you get all primary law materials. So all 50 states, all federal cases, statutes, regulations, court rules, constitutions, attorney general opinions, ethics materials, things of that nature. So all the primary you could want. So if I was going to make my selection here, I might pick California here on the left, and then I might select a couple of different document types here on the right. I can select any combination of jurisdictions I'd like. So I could search cases and statutes and regulations and books, or I could search California and Oregon and Washington State, or both. There's no requirement, there's no limitations on how many jurisdictions you can search at once. Once you've made those selections, hit save and continue. And as you'll be able to see in a second when this finishes loading, underneath the search box, it'll show the jurisdiction you just selected. What is with my internet today? I apologize. Hold on one second. Finish. There we go. At any rate. Now, if you've set your jurisdiction and you want to save that jurisdiction for later, over here next to the current sources, it'll have these little icons right here. If you click on the star icon, it'll give you an option to set that as your default so that you can run a search and have it run on that specific jurisdiction every time you log into Fastcase. So that's a simple way of setting your jurisdiction and having it available. Once you've made those selections, you're ready to run your search. You can either hit enter here in the search box, or you can hit the magnifying glass here on the right-hand side. And once you've run your search, and yes, I know mine's running across federal, long story, you'll end up here on the results page. Now, before I forget to tell you about this, I'm not sure if anybody noticed when I was typing, but you'll see a particular tool that's available in Fastcase when you run your search. So let's say that I was still typing my search phrase. As you begin typing in any search box in Fastcase, you'll see a tool in Fastcase that we call Type Ahead. Type Ahead is a form of predictive typing. So literally, as I begin entering a citation, party names, any type of information into the search box, the system is going to look to what I've typed so far and make suggestions based off of that. So why is this loading slowly? Give me 1 second. I apologize, everyone. It never fails, but it switches to the server that's slow instead of the one that it's supposed to be on. So my apologies for the delay there. I didn't want that you to have to see that through the entire demonstration here. There we go. Now we're on the right one. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
we can.
Sorry about that delay there.
Yes.
Okay. So as I was saying, when you type in any search box in Fastcase, there we go. It'll make suggestions as you begin typing. So the system will look to what you've typed so far, and you don't have to enter a full search phrase or a full citation or a full party name before the system will make those suggestions for you. So literally, I just entered part of a citation here. Here's the document that I was going for. I can click on that document and go directly to that particular document. So I don't even have to end up on this results page. I can literally just run my search from the search box and go directly to that document. So that means you can literally go from part of a citation to the document you're looking for to downloading it and be done in Fastcase in under a minute. All right, I just wanted to make sure you guys didn't miss that. So back to our Miranda warning search that we were just playing with. When you run the search in Fastcase, you'll still see the search box at the top of the page. So if there's a typo, or if your search is missing a term, or you want to add a phrase or remove a phrase from your search, you can do that right here on the results page. You don't have to go back to the start page to adjust your search phrase. Similarly, if you want to search within your results, you can do that quite easily. Just add an additional term. Hit the search box over here on the right, and your results will update live right here on the results page. So again, super easy, super quick to get updated results without having to go back and forth between the start page and the results page. Now, speaking of the results page, that's what's over here on the bottom right-hand corner, and you'll see the number of results at the top of the page. The results are going to be in relevance order. So that means most relevant result is pushed to the top, less relevant ones pushed to the bottom. However, they don't have to stay in that order. Over here on the top right corner of the page is the sort order tool, and you can change that order to date order, alphabetical, or select cited anywhere most. If you select that last one, it tends to push those seminal cases to the top of your results, and the less seminal ones go down to the bottom. Also, this results panel is bottomless, which means as I scroll down, more results are automatically loaded. So I don't have to worry about if I'm on page 1 or page 20 of the results. It will just automatically load more results for me. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen, this is the filters panel. And I can use this panel to focus my search right here from the results page. So if I want to, I can add a filter or remove a filter. I can remove California statutes, for example. I can add the Ninth Circuit. I can do whatever I'd like to my results to get more specific results right here on the results page. Underneath the primary and secondary sources filters, which are here on the left, you'll see a couple of other categories of filter as well. So right here, we have an option for briefs, pleadings, motions, and orders. Again, this is that docket alarm content sneaking in. If I click on briefs and motions right here, instead of showing me the case law that I was looking at a moment ago, it's now showing me briefs, pleadings, and motions that are associated with those cases. So this is a great way, again, to pull that extra information if you need to and or want to, and if it decides to finish loading. You can also restrict your search according to a specific date range right here. So if you want to, you could see results from the last 20 years, the last 10 years, the last year, or set a specific date range. So say 1983 to 1987, whatever makes sense for your particular search need. So here we are with briefs, pleadings, and motions order. And again, I have options for sorting all of these results. This is currently across all jurisdictions, but I can restrict it just to California. I just need to select the California courts that I was interested in here. And yes, we do have Contra Costa as one of the jurisdictions in docket alarm. So if you're looking for that, we got it. All right, I'm just going to switch this back to primary for a moment. Let's go with federal. Let's go with California. Sorry, just scooting down to grab the California courts. There we go. So again, just super easy, just select the filters from the left and you're ready to go. Now, on the bottom left of this panel, and I'll show you what it looks like, you do have an option also to see a tool that we call the suggested terms list. So let's say that you're running a search on an area of law that you're not terribly familiar with, or you're just running a search and you're not terribly familiar with legal research in the first place. You might be familiar enough with the area of law to run a very general search like the one I did at the top, but not be familiar enough to know what terms you want to add to it to focus your search. That's where the suggested terms list here comes into play. What the suggested terms list is doing is it's showing terms of art and common legal phrases that are appearing in my current results. So I could look at this list and say, yes, I'm interested in custodial interrogation cases. Great. If you hit the plus sign next to that term, it'll update your search phrase at the top of the page and your results list automatically to show you only results that include your original search phrase and the phrase custodial interrogation. Similarly, if you want to use it to exclude terms, just click on the minus sign next to the term you're not interested in, and it'll automatically exclude those terms for you. So you don't have to type a single thing, but you can focus your results very quickly. The number that's here on the right-hand side shows you the number of results that would be affected by removing or adding that as a term. So super quick to get very focused results. Now, before we leave the results page, I just want to point out over here on the left-hand side of the page, one more icon, which is the one that's right here that says timeline on it. What this does is it will show you your list of results, but instead of list format, it'll show you them spread across a 4D timeline. Now that sounds complicated, so I'm going to explain a little bit about the timeline, and then I'll give you an example of how you might use this in day-to-day practice. So on this timeline, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the x-axis is set to time. So a case that appears towards the left of this axis is older, one that's to the right is more recent. However, you can also use this x-axis just to look for periods of time when there's been a spike in cases on a particular issue. Miranda warning is a good one because most of those cases came out in the early 70s. So you can see an immense spike of cases testing that doctrine and then the trail off in more recent years. The Y or vertical axis on the timeline is set to show relevance. So the higher up a particular case is, the more relevant it is to your current search phrase. And each of the circles that's on this timeline represents an individual case. And as you can see, when I hover over a particular circle, it's showing me the name of the case, how many times that case has been cited to, and a brief excerpt from that case. Now, without knowing a single other thing about this timeline, let's give you that example. Let's say you have two clients coming into the office and there's a little gap between their appointments. You've decided to spend that gap conducting legal research. Good for you. You've run your search, you're looking at your results, and you're like, where do I start? Do I start with the most recent case? Do I start with the most relevant case? Maybe there's a recent and relevant case that I should start with. And by the time you've done some sorting and filtering and tried to decide which case to start with, your second client is in the door and you're out of time to read anything. Or you can switch to this timeline mode and know that anything that's in the top right-hand corner of this timeline is a recent relevant case that probably would do you some good to read. So, that's just a really brief example off the top, but there's a ton of different use cases that you can do on this timeline. Just a little bit more information about the timeline. You might have noticed that there's a couple of different sizes of circle on this timeline. And that's because the size of the circle is proportional to the number of times that case has been cited to. So the larger the case, the more seminal it is. And you might have also noticed there's a couple of different colors on this timeline. A case with a red circle is a case that has a negative case law treatment. It's been reversed, remanded, superseded, questioned, criticized, or is otherwise bad law. A case that has a large gray circle, that's a case that's been cited to a lot, as we mentioned. But you might have also noticed there's a third color on this timeline. Cases that have a blue circle are cases that have been cited to for the very proposition that you are currently referencing in your search. So we've all been in the situation where we've looked at a seminal case and we're like, great, it's a seminal case, only to realize they're not citing to it for the proposition you're looking for, they're citing to it for something else. Sucks. That's why the blue circle came into place on the timeline. The larger the blue circle, the more that cases have been citing to it for your current issue instead of just for something else in the case. So kind of a convenience, you can say, oh, okay, this is a recent case, it's relatively relevant, and everybody's citing to it for my issue. Let's start with this case. So a lot of information, and again, a ton of use cases that are available for this. I recommend just checking it out and seeing what types of trends you might be interested in following in the case law you're reading. All right, so let's go ahead and grab a case. Let's go with People v. Kaufman. That looks like a good one. So I've just selected People v. Kaufman, and you might notice that the results list is still present here on the left-hand side of the page. That's so that when you start looking at the document view, you don't have to go back and forth between the results and the document you're currently reading. You can just go down the list here on the left-hand side and continue your research. However, if you want the document to be full page, that's perfectly fine too. Over here on the right-hand side of the page, this little square icon will make the document view full page. Now, all documents in Fastcase will have pagination, citation, ready to use, and ready to cite to the court. And above the text of the document, you'll see a couple of icons right here. These are your search terms from your original search. So if you wanted to, you can click on the search term right here and see where that particular term appears in the document. So you can just click on it to jump to where it's located in the document. Or if you want to look for a new term, just enter the term you're interested in right here. So if I wanted to, I could enter and hit the orange search button, and it will show up as a new highlight color here, and the document will jump me down to where that term appears in this document. And as I mentioned before, you can jump from term to term to term. So super easy to locate any term you're interested in a document. Over here on the right-hand side of the page, you'll have a couple of icons that are important here as well. The first one deals with the question I always get, which is how do you print or download in Fastcase? Printing is very simple. You can print any document in Fastcase by using the keyboard shortcut Control and P. If you're a Mac user, that would be Command and P. Or you can use the print function from your browser. When you do so, the document will print directly to your printer using the defaults set up for your printer. So if your printer's defaults are set to a very small font, it will print with a very small font. So do check your settings for your printer. You might need to adjust that if you'd like. However, I recommend using the download function and then printing if you want to, both more environmentally sound and more control over what font size it's going to be. To do that, the icon right here that looks like a downward pointing arrow is your download function. Just click on that arrow and you'll see your options for downloading. So you can choose PDF or Microsoft Word formatted, and you can elect either dual column like the old reporters, or uncheck that for single column, which takes advantage of the full page width. Once you've made those selections, hit the orange download button. It will automatically save to the downloads folder in your computer, and it will also show up on the bottom of your browser. So you can just click, open it, download it, print it, email it, save it, whatever you'd like to do with it. All right, let's say that you're on a roll and you have 10 or 20 documents that you want to download. You don't have to download them one at a time. Instead, you can add them to your downloads queue and download them as a large batch. To do that, the second icon over here, the one that looks like a sideways V, this is your sharing icon. And if you click on that, you have an option to add it to your export queue. So I just added that one. Let's say you add 10 or 20 more documents, you're ready to download. Up here at the top of the page, you'll see the icon that's shaped like a cloud with an arrow on it. This is your download function, and when you click on it, it'll give you a list of all of the documents that you've added to the queue. You can remove a document from the queue by clicking on the trash can over here. And once you're ready to export, just hit the export button here, and you'll have the same options that you had for a single document, but you also have an option to select down here. You can download all of the documents as one long single file, which I tend to prefer for statutes and regulations, or you can choose to download all of the documents in a zipped folder with each document as a separate document. And I recommend that for cases because I hate it when the cases run one into the other, but of course that's up to your preference. Once you've made those selections, just hit download, and it will again download to the downloads folder on your computer. And kind of a pro tip here, everything that you've downloaded will show as a past export in the exports window. So if you're like me and you forgot where you saved something, you can re-export it on the spot, just hit export again. Also available from that sharing menu are a couple of other ways of sharing information from Fastcase. So you can email a document directly from Fastcase. All you have to do is enter the recipient's email address right here. And then the document in question will travel in the body of the email. So there's no attachment. You don't have to worry about, did the attachment attach? Did it go through? None of that. It'll just travel in the body of the email. Oops. There we go. We do have a question. Can you specify the folder where the document will be downloaded instead of the download folder? Not in our current version, but we have had that as a request. So we may set that up for the future. And actually, that's a good point to go ahead and mention. We do take requests, and we are delighted to try and accommodate them as best we can. So feel free to tell us about features you'd like to see or things you'd like to change. And it does take us a little bit of time, but we will take that into consideration. All right, also available from this sharing menu, one more way of sharing information from Fastcase is what's known as a public link. A public link is a public domain copy of the document that you're currently viewing. And this is available for all primary law cases and documents in Fastcase. All you have to do is give the recipient, who can be a student, your client, opposing counsel, your colleague, even the court, although ask permission before you send anything to the court that way. But you can give them this link, and when they click on it, they'll see a public domain copy of the document that you were viewing. Same pagination, same citation, same formatting, but they don't have to be logged into Fastcase. In fact, they don't even have to have Fastcase access at all. So if you're sending information to someone and you're not sure if they have access to anything, you can send one of these public links and they can access it directly. This is also great if you're going to be posting information somewhere. So if you're going to be blogging, or if you are on social media, or if you want to put something on your website, this is a great way to embed or to include a link to a document and have everyone view it. All right, one last thing to mention about that sharing menu. Let's say that this is the best sentence ever, and you're going to put it into your brief. Great. When you copy and paste the sentence, it will bring with it the text that you copied, and it will automatically bring with it the citation for the document, which makes it easier to properly attribute where you got that quote from. I love that feature personally, but not everybody is a fan. So if you want to turn that feature off, you can do so at the bottom of the sharing menu right there. All right, just underneath those icons, you'll see an icon shaped like a little bookmark ribbon. That's the bookmark function, hence why we made it that way. And when you click on it, it bookmarks that document for you to use later. Then when you're ready to view that document, you would come up here to the icon that's shaped like a little clock with an arrow wrapped around it. This is actually the history, bookmarks, and alerts menu, but you can think about it as kind of the everything I've done in Fastcase menu. When you click on it, it will show first your search history. Your search history goes back 10,000 searches or 18 months, whichever is larger, and is locked to your individual profile. So for privacy and confidentiality reasons, you're the only one who can access it. It'll show you your search phrase as well as any scope or limitation that you've put on that search. And you can rerun the search just by clicking on the search phrase. The second tab will show you your document history, every document that you've ever viewed in the system. And again, locked to your individual profile. The third tab is your bookmarks. So anything that you've bookmarked, you go back here and click on it to view it again. Saved searches. Whenever you run a search in Fastcase, you can click on the search menu and save that search so you can rerun it later. I don't have any current saved searches, but this is where they would go. And then finally, case law alerts. You can set an alert on any search in Fastcase and be notified anytime there's new case law on that subject. So if you're trying to stay up to date on a particular topic or area, you can set an alert on that search that searches that area and be notified via email anytime there's new cases on the subject. So you can modify any case law alerts you have set on your account using this menu. And do keep in mind, there is no incremental costs and no restriction on how many alerts you can run. So if you want to run 50 alerts, 500 alerts, 1 million alerts, well, again, we noticed that last one, but we don't care. So feel free to set as many as you'd like. Alrighty, last thing to mention over here on the right, if this toolbar is getting in the way, you can hide it just by clicking on Hide Toolbar right there. Also, we have a lot of older users as well, or people who have vision difficulties. If the font size is a little bit small for your taste, you can fix that over here on the left. Just click on the plus or the minus icon right here to adjust that. All right, last big question I always get from the document view, and that's, can you shepherdize in Fastcase? So here I do the official disclaimer dance. Shepherds is the intellectual property of a different research company. But yes, Fastcase has a citator. Ours is called Authority Check. To view the report for any case, above the text of the case on the left, you'll see an icon shaped like a flag. Incidentally, you can see this icon also on the results page. So when you're looking at the name of the result, right underneath it, you'll see a little flag icon, and you can click on it from there as well. The flag icon will be black and white if the case has no negative interpretation, or red if the case has a negative interpretation. If you click on that flag, it'll open the full report for that case. And the first thing you'll see at the top of the page is the Authority Check label, and just to the right of that is an option to download just the report. Underneath the name of the case, you'll see the filters. So if you only want to see how a particular jurisdiction has treated this case, say for instance, I wanted to see what the Ninth Circuit had to say about this case, I can just click on that and filter my report down to that specific jurisdiction. Similarly, I can sort my results either with most recent citation at the top or with the most seminal citation at the top as well. Underneath that, if there's been any negative treatment, it'll be under this red stripe. This particular case has no negative treatment, but if there was, and I'll show you a case that does have one, it will be appearing right underneath negative treatment. And then finally, at the bottom of the report, you'll see a list of all citing cases. This one's been cited a bunch of times, as you can see, but that's a great way, by the way, to expand your research a little bit. If you find one case that's in favor of your position, always remember to check the list of citing cases, because if they're citing to it, odds are they agree with it, and you might be able to use that to expand your research as well. So, as I promised, let's go take a look at a negative case. Everybody's favorite is Plessy. So here's the full case for Plessy, and the Authority Check report is loading. Everybody has cited Plessy. But as you can see, when we have negative treatment of a case, we will bold it so that you can see why we consider that particular case to be negative. Plessy has, of course, been directly overruled by Brown versus Board of Education. So it's always going to be very simple to see in Fastcase why a particular case has a negative treatment or not. And again, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them at any point. I love questions. All right. We've been doing a lot of talking about this document view. I want to show you two things that you can adjust for your search next, really quickly. So over here at the top right corner of the page, we're going to click on this account icon here, the orange one, and we're going to look at the settings menu right here for just a second. From this settings menu, you can affect certain things that happen in your search results. The first part right here allows you to adjust what types of results you get in your search results. For example, Fastcase by default will show you the most recent edition of documents. So the most recent code, the most recent statutes, the most recent regulations, all of those types of documents. However, if you're running a historical project, you might want to see some of those older results. So if you want to see those results as a part of your search results, just make sure this box is checked. If you don't want to see them, leave it unchecked. Similarly, you can allow the system to show you purchasable content, or if you don't care about that content, you can exclude it, and non-jurisdictional materials as well. So those are just materials that aren't specific to one jurisdiction, but apply nationwide. The other thing that you can adjust from this menu is the relevance algorithm. So I mentioned earlier that your results end up in relevance order, most relevant at the top, least relevant pushed to the bottom. However, we always get the question of, well, how does Fastcase determine relevance? The answer is that we take the 8 factors that you see on the screen right now into account when determining if one document is more relevant than another. So for example, we take into account how recent the document is. We take into account what level of court issued that opinion. Is it a Supreme Court or is it a court of first impression? Court of first impression or trial court. We take into account how many times it's been cited to. All of these are functions that we take into account when determining if one document is more relevant than another. But not only can you see all these factors, you can also adjust the impact that each of these factors has on the results list. So again, this is not changing the number of results you get, but it is changing what order they'll appear in. And you can finally tweak that until they're in the order that makes the most sense to you. So you would end up with always the documents you want to see at the top and the ones you're not interested in at the bottom. There's about 1 million possible different adjustments that you can make. So I do recommend experimenting with it and seeing how the results come out. I personally like the current combination, but each person is a little different. All right, so I've done a lot of talking about searching, but that's not the only way that you can find information in Fastcase. I just hopped back to the starting page because right next to the search box, you'll see this blue Browse Libraries button. If you click on that, that'll take you to an outline of jurisdictions. So from here, I can pick whichever jurisdiction I'd like, or if you've set a default, it'll default to that jurisdiction. Once I'm on the outline view here, you can see primary materials on the left-hand side of the screen and secondary content on the right-hand side of the screen. As I mentioned earlier, your access through the Contra Costa County Bar Association is for primary law from all 50 states and all federal materials. So you would get all of the content that's on this left-hand side included in your access, no matter what jurisdiction you're on. On the right-hand side, by popular demand, we do have secondary content. That secondary content is an optional add-on, so that's why you're seeing little price tags next to it. You'll always be warned after you click on it that it's not in your subscription, and it'll give you an option to upgrade so that you can see it. You can't incur any accidental or out of scope charges in Fastcase, so you don't have to worry about that. Speaking of these libraries, they're broken down by the issuing body, so cases and court materials, legislative materials, and administrative materials. And each of these libraries, if you look next to it, will have a couple of small icons. If a library has a magnifying glass next to it, that's a library that can be searched. And if you click on that magnifying glass, it'll set that jurisdiction for you. If a library has 3 parallel lines next to it, that's a library that can be viewed from the outline. So I'm just going to grab the California code here. And as you can see, I now have access to the different editions that are in Fastcase. And if I click on the arrow next to it, I can see the different subject areas. Let's go with the penal code. And then I can see within the subject areas, the different parts. And let's see, how about crimes against the persons in the title? Assault and battery looks fun. Let's pick assault. So here we are. I've just selected a particular section, which is showing on the right-hand side of the page, but the outline is still visible here on the left. So if I want to, I can jump to another section or to another chapter or wherever I need to in that code outline without having to run a separate search. So that can be convenient as well. As far as the statute section over here on the right, we have all of the same tools we had in our case law example, with one exception. Instead of having the flag for the citator, I have a capital letter A. A is for annotations, and if I click on this, it'll show the annotations panel here on the left-hand side of the screen, showing me any cases citing to the specific section. So again, a great way to show or to see how the court has treated that particular section in the later case law. Just a quick note about how quickly Fastcase itself updates. New case law hits our system within 24 hours of the opinion being released by the court. About a minute and a half after it hits our system, it's updated on every report in Fastcase. So if the statute section was cited to yesterday, you'd know about it today. If a particular case was overturned on Tuesday, you'd know about it on Wednesday. So super quick, super accurate information about the case law in Fastcase. For non-case law materials, we update on a rolling schedule matching that of the issuing body. So for example, if the issuing body updates on a bi-weekly basis, so do we. On a monthly basis, so do we. You get the idea. So all of the information ends up in Fastcase in a very quick, very up-to-date manner. In addition, let's see, what should we show you? It does look like I have a question though. How much is the annual cost to add access to briefs that I've referenced all along? It depends on what level of access you need. The integration Fastcase allows you to access briefs and motions for $39 a month, briefs, motions, and pleadings for $59 a month, or full docket access for $99 a month. And that full docket access comes with a whole bunch of other tools and information as well. So just depends on what you need access to. Secondary content, as I mentioned, is available a la carte. If you have any questions about that, just let me know as well. Alrighty, just one or two more things to show you, and then I'll stop and see if we have any questions that I've missed. I just got through telling you that secondary content is an optional add-on, but there are two libraries that are available that you can access that are not an upcharge. The first one is called JurisPro. JurisPro is a database of expert witnesses information. So you can access things like biographical details, educational background, specialties, subspecialties, things like that. And the other database that is available as an included database in your access is LexBlog. LexBlog is the largest curated database of legal blogs, and these are coming from leading practitioners in their fields, so litigators and trusted contract writers and professors and things like that. So I really recommend checking out LexBlog, especially if you want to see some legal thought on cutting edge or current issues, things like COVID. Some really great writing on that. Alrighty, one more thing to point out. It's the only menu thing I haven't pointed out here at the top of the page. This is apps and tools. And from here, you can see some integrations with certain partners that we have. Somebody asked earlier if you can do people search or background search information, person search. You can't do that directly in Fastcase, but we do integrate with TransUnion TLOXP. So if you need that type of functionality, you can get that through that integration. We also integrate with our sister product, Law Street Media. Law Street Media reports on legal tech, healthcare, and agricultural news. This is free, so feel free to sign up for as many subjects as you'd like. Some really excellent legal writing there, so I do recommend checking that out. Also, as an integration partner, we've mentioned Docket Alarm. We also integrate with Clio Practice Management. So if you use that to do your invoicing and billing, you can integrate Fastcase with that. And the last thing I want to mention from this apps and tool menu is cloud linking. So let's say that you have a brief or a memo or a motion that cites to a bunch of case law. You could go through and download and attach all of those cases. You could go through and grab a public link for each of those cases and embed it in the document. Or you can just take 1 minute, run your document temporarily through cloud linking, and our system will add links for every case law citation that's in that document, so that anybody you send that document to can just click and go directly to that case. So it's not exactly a research tool, it's much more of a workflow tool, but I do recommend checking that out as well. All right, last thing I wanted to mention is that your access to Fastcase comes with access to the Fastcase support and reference team. So we have law librarians and reference attorneys who'd be delighted, first off, to answer any questions you have about Fastcase, but also to help you with any reference questions you might have. So if you're just stuck in trying to figure out a good search phrase to use to get to the documents you're looking for, we can help with that. We're available by email. Our email address is support, support@fastcase.com. You can call us. Our phone number is 866-773-2782. Or when you're using Fastcase, you'll see a little tab down here. It'll say support. If you click on that, that allows you to live chat directly with our office. And I really recommend that last option, simply because search phrases can get really long really quickly. So instead of having me read a search phrase out loud to you over the phone, you can just see it, copy it, paste it, and know that there's no typos in it. So I really recommend that chat function, especially if you're getting help with a reference question. All right, so with that, I will double check and see if we have any questions. We do have a question. If you want to filter by procedural posture, such as looking at only granted motions to dismiss, is there an option for that? For the current moment, you would need to put it as part of your search phrase. But give us a couple more weeks. That is actually the project we're working on at the minute, is to parse the motions so we can say we can see the procedural posture and have filters for that. That is supposed to come out end of June, early July-ish. So keep an eye on that little blog at the bottom of the search page here, because you'll be able to see an announcement regarding that. And I think we might have one more question. When you copy a sentence with a citation, it'll actually drag all of the citations with it. I realize that that's a little inconvenient. We kind of backburnered that one after the procedural posture thing that we were fixing first. So keep an eye on the blog. You'll see updates regarding that too. The reported published versus unpublished cases is the other thing that we backburnered after procedural posture. You guys are killing me. So there will be updates coming for that too. But it's good to know that we have them in the right order. So yes, that's coming, we promise. It's just if we work on all three at the same time, we'd not finish any of them. So procedural posture is coming first. The others are coming right after.
Erin, do you want to stop share?
Yes, I can do that.
That'd be great.
There we go.
Okay. Let's see. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you, Erin. That was great. And again, this was recorded, so it'll be available for you to watch again. You clearly have a lot of good resources to contact if you have questions with Fastcase. So I hope that works for everybody. And if there's no more questions.
It might be